This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared by students, faculty, alumni, and other members of the USC community.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Viterbi Voices. As usual, I am one of your co-hosts. My name is Paul Ledesma, Executive Director of Undergraduate Admission, and unfortunately, our other friend and co-host, Cameron, is not here today, but don't worry. We've brought in a number of reinforcements to talk about this very, very special episode about what's going on right now in admission. We brought in the entire undergraduate admission staff, and if you bear with us for just a second, we're going to have each of them introduce themselves so you can know who is on the pod this morning. Becky?
Hello, everyone. My name is Becky. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Admission. I'm really excited to be here today. I can't believe we're already at this point of the year where we're talking about those students who will actually get decisions soon. I know it's been a long time coming since the Common App went live in August. So we're excited to be here today and to talk about admission.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angie. I'm the Senior Assistant Director. I'm also happy to be here to join my colleagues here, talk about decisions, talk about other things, next steps. So just happy to be here with everyone too.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stacey Badger. I'm the Assistant Director of Undergraduate Admission for Viterbi. And I am also very happy to be here. This is a super exciting and busy time, and lots of things are going on. So it's nice to be able to kind of sit down and chat about it.
And ditto, my name is Lisa Rosas. I'm the Assistant Director of Undergraduate Admission. I'm the newbie here, so you guys probably haven't seen me much out on the emails or anything that you guys receive. So I'm new, but so happy to be here, like everyone else said.
All right. So given that this is kind of the first time this year that we have all of you on the podcast, a little bit of background on all of you. Are you podcast listeners? And if so, what are your top podcasts that you listen to?
Oh, no, I was just going to say no.
And Becky's just jumping in with a no.
Not.
I was just talking to Stacey about this. I used to listen to true crimes on my commute in, like all the time. And then I had to take a break from it. It was too much.
Yeah, I don't listen to true crime anymore. It was once I started living by myself, it all felt a little too real and scary. And I was like, let me not listen to this anymore. So now I listen to a lot of the Scrubs rewatch podcast, Fake Doctors, Real Friends with Zach Braff and Donald Faison. I like that. I like there's a Boy Meets World rewatch podcast. I like, so basically if there's a TV show and people are talking about rewatching a TV show that I used to watch, I like those.
Do you ever, as a result of the rewatch podcast, do you ever go back and rewatch that episode?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do, especially the Scrubs one, because they'll all of a sudden be like, remember this joke? And I'm like, oh, that was funny. I always thought that was really funny. So I'll go back and watch things. Some things have aged better than others. But it definitely, I don't rewatch Boy Meets World though, but I did, I think in the pandemic, like when we were like in the pandemic.
Got it.
But you know, so it's pretty fresh.
Who didn't go back and rewatch Boy Meets World in the pandemic, right?
That's true.
Angie, you were just shaking your head. You're absolutely no on the podcast.
So I was going to ask, does it count if I'm watching the recording of a clip on TikTok while someone is playing Subway Surfers? Because I watch a lot of those. And so I'll sometimes see. I don't really watch podcasts. I don't think it counts.
I've heard all those words before, but never in that order. And I don't understand anything you just said. So.
I think the listeners will understand.
So what Angie's saying is, Paul, we're old.
No kidding. I'm glad you threw yourself under the bus with me, though, but I appreciate that. One of the common threads of this podcast, people will hear refrains of, is me commonly saying how old I am. So it's good to have a partner in crime to now be old with me. All right. So it's a big week. We're wrapping up the end of March. We are, just for full transparency, we're recording this on the morning of Wednesday, March 22nd. And this is being released in the next day or so. And all admission decisions for first-year applicants will be released on the afternoon of Friday, March 24th, 2023. So anyone that applied for admission to fall 2023 as a first-year applicant is being given that information, whether they're admitted or not, on the afternoon of Friday, March 24th. Now, a couple things to discuss. Number one, we've already admitted a number of people. And so there was 2 rounds of applications, early action, which was due on November 1st of 22, and regular decision, which was due on January 15th of 23. And there was a small group of students that were admitted for early action. They were admitted in late January. Some of those students were selected as scholarship finalists and have been going through kind of more rigorous scholarship screening to decide who will be awarded a scholarship from that pool. And then everyone that was not considered for early action was moved into the regular decision pool. And so the grand majority of our applications are going to be receiving their final admission decision on March 24th. There's a lot to unpack here. And I think the first thing that we should address is the emotion and stress that's going on right now. And we're ourselves and the Office of Admission in particular are working as fast as they can to get this out. It was actually a little bit earlier than before that we're getting these decisions out. But regardless of how fast and how hard we work, somebody could have submitted an application in October and has been sitting trying to figure out what's going to happen. And if they submitted for early action in October, they were told in January you weren't considered, but we're deferring you to the regular pool. So this is, November, December, January, February, March. We're dealing with 5, almost 6 months of trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm curious from you all, I mean, we've been getting this type of contact. What type of contact have we been getting lately? And what do you think the emotion levels and the stress levels are that are out there right now?
I think a lot of students, and just from my experience working with students, and I have nieces who are seniors in high school this year, and just kind of waiting. It's just sort of this waiting game, and it's really stressful, especially if you've heard back from other schools, maybe schools that do rolling admission, or students who have 3 different versions of early decision or early action. So some schools you may have heard back from in October, and you're just sitting here waiting. And I know it can be stressful, especially because there's that big May 1st deadline that you always hear about. And as we're getting closer, we're only, 5 weeks away from May 1st, where students ultimately have to make their decision. So I know a lot of students get stressed out at this time because maybe you've heard back from some schools, but you don't want to make your decision until you've heard back from all the schools. And we are one of the last schools to get back to students. So I know that students can be really stressed out about that and just wanting to make a decision, but not having all the information yet.
Agreed totally. And I think that's the best part of that. Oftentimes I forget about it, that, we're dealing in our world of USC applications, but they're applying to a lot of schools. And it's because schools use different methods to admit students. They are just waiting. As a reminder to everybody, all colleges and universities will reply to you with an admission decision as long as you've completed your application no later than April 1. And so everybody has up until April. And then you have until May 1st to get back to us. So that's why that stress comes into play. But a little bit about our applicant pool. We've talked about it before, but to give you some final numbers on this, this year for first year admission, we received 15,500 applications total. About half of those were early action, and the other half of those were regular decision. For future applicants that might be listening to this and hoping you can shed some light into your application process, I think what's first important to understand is that you don't change or alter or improve your chances of admission by applying early action or regular decision. I know that there's a lot of scuttlebutt and rumors and speculation, and most of that, it revolves around other universities and the way that they do either early action or early decision, but you're not changing your chances of admission. My recommendation for future applicants is you apply for early action no matter what, because that's how you get considered for merit scholarships. And if you don't get that, then you're still considered for regular decision. So if you just apply regular decision, you just would have taken yourself out of a whole round of consideration, which is not something you want to do. So getting that in. The admission numbers, while not final as of our current recording right now at this moment, but we're getting really, really close, I can tell you is going to land around 8%, a little under 8%. And so the admit rate for this year for the Viterbi School of Engineering would be roughly around 8%. I will tell you that this is the most competitive year for admission This will be the most selective class in the history of the Viterbi School of Engineering. And for the university in general, it will be as well. It's important to note that the Office of Admission, we don't run individual kind of silos of review. It's all one process of admission. But when you look at the engineering applicants, it is slightly more competitive. But that said, not statistically significant. The idea it's not any more difficult to be admitted to engineering. So no one should be swayed away from applying to engineering because it's still going to be probably under 10% for the entire university. So this is not a statistically significant, it's hard to say, statistically significant section of change here. You should just be applying to where you want to go after. And because you applied to engineering doesn't mean you had a harder chance for admission, because if we say we're not able to admit you to engineering, you're still considered for your second choice major and for the university overall. So let's get that out of the way, number one. As we've talked about in many different podcasts, and as we put on our website over and over again, that our incoming class is only going to be around 400 students, maybe a little bit over that. And that is usually attractive to students when you're applying, but it becomes one of the hardest things in the world when admission decisions come out. Because why that's attractive is because it becomes incredibly competitive and selective in the admission process. And so thus we're getting to likely an under 8% admit rate. So that means if you're listening to this and you've applied, 92% of you, if not a little bit more than that, will be receiving news you don't want to receive on Friday afternoon. First, let's talk about the mechanics. Number one, you have your admission portal. Our first recommendation, do not continue to refresh your admission portal. You will be there all day. It will not happen. These admission decisions are likely going to come out once you're out of school in the afternoon. And the university does that on purpose. We don't want you to receive this while you're in school. We want you to either be at home, be comfortable, be around other family and loved ones, but it'll be after school. Okay. So in the later afternoon, if not evening, depending on where you are in the world, we're releasing them later afternoon, California time. That's number one. Number two, the way you're going to be notified is you're going to receive an email. And the email you're going to receive is not going to tell you what your admission decision is. It will just say that there's an update to your admission status in your portal, and it will provide you a link to go log in. So you wait until you receive that email, then go to your portal. Don't stay in your portal. Don't live in your portal. Don't do anything like that. It's not going to change anything. Just wait for your email. When you get that email, again, think of the numbers. 92% are going to receive bad news. And that is a hard thing to deal with, especially given the stress and the context that we just talked about. And I want you all to know, first and foremost, that are listening to this, those of us that are involved in this process, and the 5 of us on this podcast right now, we don't take any joy in being part of the system that provides you that news. That's the first thing we want you to know. I know that a lot of you will have a number of different emotions that will range from anger, that will range from just pure sadness. Some of you maybe won't care, which hey, fine. Maybe some of you didn't really care about us in the first place, but it's not good to feel as though someone doesn't want you. And I want to be super clear about this, that I hear the term "I got rejected," and I don't like that term, and not because of just optics related to the term. It's not whether we get rejected you. It's just that there's only so much room that we have for people, and we are turning away an amazing group of applicants that we just don't have room for. The overwhelming majority of our applicant pool was completely admissible, had all the qualifications and qualities that we are looking for in a student, and that's likely you if you're listening to this podcast. But when you come down to our size, when you come down to the number of seats, the number of classes, the number of faculty that teach, and the resources that we have to help students be successful, we are a small to medium private school. And there are only so many numbers of which we can actually maintain to provide that same level of quality, service, and resources to our students. So it's not that you weren't good enough. It's not that we didn't like you. It's not that someone else was better. There's no way to really quantify this process. And more specifically, for you and especially your parents, it's not that you didn't deserve it. And I think that's a thing that I really want to get across to everybody, is that this is a highly emotional time where we have to deliver bad news, but it is not a judgment of us upon you as to the quality of you as a person or your character. And I think that's something that we really should take some time to explore, because I know that in the coming days, we admit a certain number of students, but we don't admit a much greater number. We end up getting calls and emails from people that are frustrated and upset about that decision. And this talk is something that we have to do. So for everyone on this episode right now, what is some advice you have for people as they're dealing with these emotions? And what do you want them to know as we've gone through this process from a, applications we've read perspective, students that you've worked with? What are they dealing with, and how can we help them?
Well, I think one thing you said, Paul, where students will come and say, well, I got rejected. I also hate that word, because it's not, like Paul said, we're not rejecting you. It's not anything against you as a student or as a person. And I know this is really difficult when a student, especially the students who really want to be admitted to USC, like this is their dream school, and their parents went here and they talk about it all the time. And then to get that letter where they're not offered admission to the university for the fall 2023 semester. Let's be very specific. It's just for this, this upcoming year. It's really hard for them to kind of separate that it's not personal. There's, like Paul said about, of the 15,500 applications we received, 92% of students are going to get told that they're not being offered admission. And a huge majority of the students applying are fully qualified academically. We just don't have the space to admit all the students to keep it small. So if you do get one of those, decisions that is not favorable to you, one, don't take it personally. I think take some time, kind of absorb the information. Let your emotions go. If you're upset, be upset. That's totally valid in how you feel. But there are, definitely next steps you can do. And we'll definitely talk about that. If you are not offered admission, what can you do next? What are your options? And just sort of think that out over the weekend. And then we are here to help you and kind of walk you through those.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
I think Stacey's trying to say something.
I would just add to basically giving yourself space, like Becky said, and being as kind to yourself as possible, because chances are, even if you don't get admitted to USC, you probably have other schools to choose from as well. So there are positives that you can kind of look at. And I know that's easier said than done, but doing your best to sort of look at what are my options from here on out, and looking at the good things that are going to come too. Just because, this maybe didn't happen for you doesn't mean other great things won't. So keep that in mind too. And don't nitpick on your application or anything like that. Don't go back and think about would have, could have, should have, because that's not helpful. Think about what you actually currently have in front of you and what can take you forward. Don't look back at all of those different pieces.
Yeah. I was just that last thing you said, Stacey, about don't nitpick. I think we have this tendency to compare ourselves to others too. So don't go find a friend who was admitted or, and be like, let's compare, let's see, and then try to figure out what was the difference. I think what we're trying to say is like, don't beat yourself up, and just reiterating that all of you were qualified to be admitted, to be successful here. It's just a matter of space. So it's also everything we're saying is easier said than done. So it's like, sit with those feelings. Don't try to push them away. Don't try to repress them feelings. If you want to cry, if you want to do whatever you need to do that, but process those emotions, because I think that's better than just repressing emotions. But
completely. And I think that, we talked about this all yesterday as a group, but to let you all know, as listeners, there is a parallel here, although some may view this as an over-exaggeration, but there is a parallel here to, if anybody's taken psychology or read anything about the Kubler-Ross grief cycle, but the ideas of how someone deals with loss. And this was first introduced by, am I blanking? Elizabeth Kubler-Ross? Yes, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. So. Thank you. I was like, I forgot her first name. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross back in the 60s, 1960s, that is, described 5 common stages of grief on her first book that talked about this, called On Death and Dying. And it's just about loss. And there are a lot of equations or similarities to this idea of what you just think you lost. And so really quickly, those stages, which you may have heard of, are things that you actually will go through. And so to echo my colleagues here about accepting those and processing those and living in them and being kind to yourself, there will be denial, there will be anger, there will be bargaining, there will be depression, and then ultimately there will be acceptance. And this is somewhat of a wave that you end up feeling in this grief cycle. In the denial phase, there are often feelings of avoidance, like you're avoiding to talking about it, confusion, elation, shock, fear. These things about denial come into play. With anger, you start to feel frustrated, irritated, maybe develop a little bit of anxiety related to this. In the bargaining phase, oftentimes struggling to find meaning. These are some things that just actually got brought up. Reaching out to others, telling one story, just talking about what's happening, how you're going to get through that. You're trying to bargain with everyone around you about how to accept this. Depression may start to come in the form of being overwhelmed, helplessness, hostility, sometimes flight, meaning you just want to get away from it all. And then hopefully what we get to is a point of acceptance, where you start to explore your options. And you have a new plan in place and you can start to move on, because loss is loss, meaning it is gone. Now, let's talk about that next step. And although that might be too fast for you all to move on to, that is where we want to get you, right? So when you receive an admission decision and you're not being offered part of the admission, the first thing you should do is read through that entire letter and share that with your family. Okay, so inside that letter, we do offer you a frequently asked questions document, which basically says, what do we do now? And it starts to outline some key points of action that you can take. Number one is the appeal process. So Becky, could you talk about the appeal process and what students would need to do if they do want to appeal the process? Because that is the first step, and it does have a deadline.
Yes. So if you do not receive an admission decision of admit, and you want to, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but there's an official appeal process, and in your Q&A on your decision letter, it kind of walks you through it and tells you how to. It's through the portal. You can go in there. There's an official appeal process that you can do. Follow the appeal process. Do not submit anything else besides what the university is requesting of you. Like I said, don't send us anything. Don't add anything extra. It's all in the portal, and it tells you exactly what you need to do in order to appeal your decision. Now, this is a human process. Over the last 6 months, many of us have been in your files reading, and we're not going to say that we never make mistakes. Maybe we miss something, and so the appeal process is your first step for us to go back and relook at your application, see what we missed. So follow that appeal process. Only submit what the university requests of you. The appeal is due on April 10th.
Monday, April 10th.
Thank you. I thought it was the 10th, but I didn't want to be wrong. So you need to, if you want to appeal the decision, you need to submit the information that is requested of you by April 10th, not the 11th, because then you've missed the deadline. So by April 10th. So that's sort of your first step if you receive a decision that is not for admission. You will hear back from the university by May 12th, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. By May 12th. So keep in mind that is after May 1st deadline. So you will need to decide to attend another university by the May 1st deadline before you do hear back from us on May 12th.
In other words, don't count on an appeal going through, because that's the other point we want to make, is that the likelihood of appeals are less than the likelihood of an admission offer in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do not overturn decisions often. So do not appeal just expecting it to be overturned. That does not happen. So you will need to make a decision to attend somewhere else. And then if the decision is overturned through the appeal process, you will hear back by May 12th from the university.
And if I could add really quickly, I think the most important thing is that the appeal should contain new and compelling information. Your application has been read multiple times, like Becky said, and maybe sometimes students forget to mention something. So the appeal should have new information that you didn't otherwise include previously. So if you're just reiterating everything that's already in the application, that's not new and compelling information. So just, again, follow the instructions on your portal if that's what you want to do.
To put a finer point on it, when we keep saying follow the instructions on your portal and don't deviate from that, questions we get is, can I interview? Can I meet with you? Can I send you letters of recommendation? Can I send this letter to all these different faculty at the school? No, 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 and no. And not to be rude about it, but this process is very streamlined and it needs to go through the official channels. The more that you do that, the more you will confuse the situation and you will not help your situation. We want you to follow the instructions. We want you to get in the right process. And we do offer a very clear and very equitable appeal process. Keyword is equitable. And the more you do other things, you remove equity. So this is a process that is incredibly important to us to make sure that you follow that process if you want to appeal. So make sure you follow that deadline. The next thing is, we know that you have been admitted to other great institutions. And so if you have not been admitted to USC, then you have other great options. We want you to explore those options. We don't believe that this is always the best place for everybody. And so you might find a place that you end up loving, even though maybe USC was a dream school. If there's no place you end up loving, then follow that and go for it. I don't want you to be hung up on USC. That's a big point of recommendation there. But if you get through this entire month of April and you explore your options with as even-handed an approach as you possibly can, and you realize, you know what, don't want to go to any of these schools, I still think USC is the place for me, then we are happy to begin to work with you on a process to prepare yourself to be a competitive transfer applicant for a future term. So, Angie, in a real quick fashion, what are the steps that they need to take and when to start exploring the option to transfer, and what are some resources that they can begin to look at now?
Sure. So our website, viterbiadmission.usc.edu/transfer, has everything. Transfer could be a whole other podcast itself. So that's why we're not going to dive too deeply in here, but you could apply to transfer in as early as a year. If you meet all of our minimum requirements, which again outlined on the website, I'm not going to go into too much depth into it here, but you could apply and you could potentially be admitted for fall 2024 as early as a year. So that's something where we're different from other schools. Now, I'll take this time to plug in that I would recommend a community college if you are able to. Yes. If that's the option that you are going to and you want to transfer to USC, we highly recommend community colleges because it makes transfer credit easy and transfer counseling easy. But we will work with students who choose to go to other places, and we will do our best to provide guidance. We are hoping to start hosting, we usually host virtual transfer sessions once a month. I think we're going to start doing that again in April. So no dates have been set yet, and we don't want to say anything because we're still trying to figure it out. But hopefully sometime in April or even May, I would say April.
Yeah, no later than May.
No later than May, we'll start to have those regular virtual info sessions where you can sign up, and either usually myself or Becky are hosting them. And we go into much more depth about transfer advisement, course selection requirements, and the whole process. So it's a really quick snippet about the transfer process. But again, visit our website /transfer and we'll post dates for those sessions once they become available on that same page as well.
The thing that I want to get out of everybody's head is that transferring is not spending 2 years at another college. For us, we want you to spend as little time there as possible. We can do it as early as a year, which means you can transfer for fall 2024. And it's not about taking GEs. Actually, if you take only GEs, we will not admit you as a transfer student. So we do want to get you on the pathway to take appropriate prerequisite courses towards an engineering degree program. And we will advise you specifically on the classes that you should take at your particular college or university. And we want to help you with that process. We don't want you to go down the road on your own. We want to be guiding you and helping you to prepare yourself to be a competitive transfer applicant. It's a very different process, as Angie mentioned. So there are things in the works for your future. If USC is something, if the Viterbi School of Engineering is someplace that you really want to go, we want to create pathways for you to do that, and we will help. Again, nothing can be guaranteed, but we do want to be able to help you with that process and remove some of the mysticism and the kind of the cloudiness from that. So those are your options. There's lots to talk about. There's lots to process. It is on our website. And we will tell you that if you want to talk about transferring before May, we're not going to have a lot of time to do so. Our resources are pretty spent at that time period. So check to see when we will have transfer events. They might happen at least once in April, but likely will start in earnest in May. But there is, as Angie mentioned, so much information on our website that you can counsel yourself. We've written that so you can counsel yourself to get started on that. And I cannot recommend or urge you or push you or do whatever I can in the best way possible to say you need to attend a community college. Attending a four-year university creates different issues for transferability across the board. The least amount of friction you can have in applying as a transfer student to the Viterbi school is attending a community college. That does not mean that we prefer that over the other. We're just telling you it's going to help you. And the often common refrain is, well, shouldn't I go to a better university when I have a better chance of admission? And no, they aren't better universities. You don't have a better chance of admission. You're only creating more struggle and more grief for yourself, because more often than not, the classes that you will take there will not transfer. Community college courses are designed to transfer, and we know the courses and we can tell you exactly what to take. It also costs you a lot less. So let's think about those roads. It's not a downgrade to go to a community college for a year when your plan is to be on the Viterbi kind of boot camp plan, which is what we'll put you on. So, okay, that's out of the way, but that's an important message. Keep in mind, we get the emotions are high, and we know that this is something that we don't want to ignore. And so we want to help as best as possible. But on to the good news. Certain number of students will receive admission to our university. A certain number already have through our early action process. So what is the first thing we want to tell people when they've been admitted? What's the first thing that they should really consider? What should they do?
Come to campus.
Whoa, that was like in chorus. That was amazing. That was amazing. So Stacey, yes, come to campus, and people want to visit, but we want them to come on very particular days. Can you explain the options for students to visit campus or visit with us, I should say, and how do they do that?
Well, visiting with us, there's a few different options of things that you can do. So I'll start with sort of our biggest event that we have, which is our Explore event on April 2nd. And that is basically a large day where we're going to have a big presentation. We're going to have student organizations. We're going to have walkthroughs of our makerspace, faculty come. That is all on April 2nd and it all will take place in the Epstein Family Plaza right on campus. You'll get to meet all of us. Again, meet current students and faculty. So it's really all of the different components that you'll want to see sort of built into a day, and almost like a fair type of experience. So it's really fun as well. So that's one of the first things that's happening. I think that is actually our first event that's happening, our first admitted student event. So absolutely
on-campus event. Yeah.
First on-campus event. My apologies. So that's one of the ways. We have other Explore programs throughout the month of April as well. We have 6 different Explore programs throughout the month of April. These ones take place on weekdays instead of that big weekend event. So it basically encompasses all of those things that we did. Not all of them, but it encompasses so many different components. So you'll get to meet faculty on those Explore days. You get to meet us. Again, that's really the main thing. You get to meet us.
You get to meet Stacey. That's all that matters.
You get to meet current students as well. You get to have lunch with some current students. And faculty. And so again, you're getting lab tours. And so it's really interesting. And all of that is based then, if you're on an Explore day during the week, it's based on your major as well. So you're getting to learn even more about your major, your program that you've been admitted to, which is really fun and exciting as well. We're going to have different Paul, looked like you're about to jump in with something there.
Oh, no, sorry.
No. Okay. So those are 2 different ways on campus that you can meet us or be present on campus. There's also other ways that you can interact with us, and we're going to be traveling soon. So we're going to different states, and we're going to be there either hosting a presentation with you or having dinner with you. And all of that stuff will be on our website as well, but you'll get to meet one of us, hopefully me, but one of us will be there. as well at these different locations. We're also going to be holding a number of virtual events. We're going to have, so in case you can't make it to campus or in case we're not traveling to your town specifically, we will have a virtual event to where Paul will be able to tell you about all of the different things that are happening for admitted students. And then we'll have a panel of our current students too. So you still get to interact with them. And then we're also going to be having events, virtual events that our students will be hosting. And those are going to be part of our Instagram live events that we're going to be doing /TikTok lives. And we're going to be having a live chat where you can again interact with current students. So we're going to have some faculty that are going to be leading some demo classes, and that will be virtual as well. So there's a lot of interaction going on, but all of it will be laid out on our website and on your portal as well. So basically, there's a lot to do and it will be all organized nicely there for you. But we want you to interact with us as much as possible so you can get all of the information that you need /want about USC.
The portal is the key to sign up for all of these events. So admission.usc.edu/status, or where you got your admission decision. There is a link there to click on Explore USC, and all of those opportunities are there for you to register. While we do have this one open house that's coming up, it is rather quick. So I don't want you to kill yourself to try to get to that open house. That's why we offer 6 more days throughout the month of April. Come where the schedule helps you to be the most. We will have the most in-depth visit programs at every single one of these. There's not a priority. I will tell you, some people try to focus on that open house. It is our biggest event, but I think you get a better experience at the weekday Explore USCs because it's not hundreds of people. It's just a couple dozen or so. And so I think that's what's really helpful to really explore and have lunch with students and spend the whole day with us. So that's what we want to do. In short, what I think is most important, do not just schedule a campus tour. Don't schedule a campus tour. That's not going to help you. Come to one of the Explore USC events. These are specifically designed for admitted students and your families to get all the information you want, talking to faculty, talking to students, seeing facilities, engaging and immersing in the overall experience as a student at the Viterbi School of Engineering. A tour is just to walk around, look at this building. Can you believe it was built in that year? That's really what every tour is. Don't do that. And the info sessions that are posted on our website right now, don't do that either. Those are for students that are thinking about applying to the school. And the level of depth there is super thin. The level of depth in an Explore USC is the level of depth that you want. So Explore USC, Explore USC, Explore USC. That's what you want to sign up for. And don't sign up for multiple sessions. They're all the same. And if you're not able to visit campus, we are coming around the country. Let's go around the horn and say what cities you will be in the coming week. So Stacey, we'll start with you. Where are you going to be? Who is lucky to be able to meet with
wow,
Miss Badger?
The Stacey Badger.
The Stacey Badger.
So I will be in Denver. That's the first one that will be dinner. So we'll have dinner in Denver. After that, I'll be going to New York and then Washington, D.C. and then Philadelphia.
Angie?
I will be in Atlanta and Fort Lauderdale, South Florida area, and Chicago. Yeah.
That goes a surprise all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Lisa?
Yeah, so I'm going super far. I'm going to Santa Clara in California with Becky. And then after that, I will be going to Houston and Dallas in Texas.
Becky?
Yeah, so I will be in Santa Clara with Lisa. So anyone in the Northern California Bay Area, you get 2 of us. Very exciting. 40% of the admission staff will be there. And then I get to go to Singapore and Taipei. So I'm very excited about that. It's my first trip to Asia. So that's going to be fun.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
And for all of you in the Pacific Northwest, in Seattle and Portland, you have drawn the short straw. You will get me. I will be up there with you. It'll be a hotel event in Seattle, a dinner in Portland. And I will also be in Honolulu. And so all of the Hawaii students that will have an opportunity to be out there, I'll be talking to you. And also in the UK, I'll be traveling out to London to meet with our students later in the month. So we've got trips. We're covering the entire area. Also, our Senior Associate Dean, Kelly Goulas, will be in Boston. That's the one city that we did not mention, but she will be there. And so we've got pretty much everyone covered. And if it's not covered, or if you're not able to visit campus, the virtual events that we're going to offer are going to be in depth and have you the opportunity to show you as much as we possibly can. So there's so much stuff. There's so much stuff happening. Yeah.
I forgot. to say that I will also be in Honolulu with you, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. All of a sudden, this extra suitcase shows up the size of Angie, and just like no, take me.
Yeah.
For all of our listeners, not a moment goes by where Angie says, "What about me going to Honolulu?" I think it's about the 5th time in the last month.
Yeah.
I think about that.
Yeah, I think so. It's because I've been here for 3 years now, and every year,
So
without a
therefore,
doubt,
you deserve it.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I think Angie, it only took me 9 years to get the Hawaii trip.
Yeah, and I've talked about this multiple times. It took me 19, so like stop.
Yeah. No.
Actually, not even 19. It took me 21 years.
I will not stop. I think persistence is key.
The squeaky wheel.
21 years. Then I got to go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Becky got to go in 9. Shut your trap. Enjoy the deep dish Chicago, and that is one of my favorite cities. So Angie, yeah, you come on. These are all fantastic cities.
Yeah, I'm happy with my choices too. I would just have to plug in. I had to. Yeah. I had to try.
Good. Yeah, putting it on the record. I get it. Yeah. Yeah. Like on this date, on this podcast, I put it down. Oh my God. All right. Well, now I don't even know what we're talking about. Okay, so we're talking about all these things: the visit campus, visit with us in all these different places, and you have until May 1st to make your decision. I know that if you've been admitted to the Viterbi school, you are considering top institutions around the country and possibly around the world. And making that decision is a whole new level of stress, even though the last year has been very stressful. And so the first thing I want to tell you all is that we get it. It's emotional and it's challenging, and there's a lot of things that come into play. Number one are finances and how you're going to be able to afford that. If you have not been awarded a scholarship, there are no other scholarships. I want to make that entirely clear. Our scholarship process is streamlined. It goes through the early action process. Scholarship finalists were notified back in January. Those students will be notified of their final scholarship status this coming weekend. And so you were admitted EA and you were a scholarship finalist and you went through that process. You'll be notified of your final scholarship over the weekend. Those scholarship decisions are final. There's no way to be reconsidered. That thing is done and done and done. And there isn't any extra money. We've given out all of our money. And so merit scholarships are tapped out for the university and for the Viterbi School of Engineering. Financial aid, likely in the next week or so, will package everybody who has not been packaged up to this point, who has complete financial aid applications in source. So if you don't know that you do, you can check on the financial aid website, go to the FAST portal, and making sure that you have your CSS profile and your FAFSA submitted and any other information that USC is waiting on for you. If they are waiting for information, they can't turn around a package that quickly. It takes some time. So make sure that you have all that information in there and working with the financial aid office. If you believe that they are missing information about your family's financial situation or something has changed since the point of you applying for financial aid, like some horrible examples, a parent has lost their job, or some sort of other scenario that's gone into play between when your finances were in one level and now they're in a different level, then you need to make sure that you contact the financial aid office to discuss the changes in your family's financial situation to make sure that they understand them at the most current level. So make sure that you're doing that. Other than that, there's really not much else that we can do. USC works hard to put forth the best first financial aid package that they can. That includes merit-based scholarships that, again, are finalized, and need-based financial aid packages, which include loans, grants, and work study programs. And the majority of those packages are grants, which is free money. And so they're all there. That's it when it comes to finances. And that's a struggle to figure out, but that's really how it's going to play out. And then how you start figuring out how to line up all these colleges and universities. I'll tell you the secret here is that not one of them is better than the other, and we are not better than any other institution. So you got to figure out what's going to be the best place for you. These campus visit experiences, and when you do those and you experience the same thing at other institutions, you will start to have a feeling as to where you fit the best. And I want you all to remove from the situation what is the best university and change it to where do you fit the best? Where do you find yourself being the most successful version of yourself? That is really the conversation you should have with yourself. And parents that are maybe listening to this, or if you're listening as a family, because I know all families gather around the fireplace and listen to our podcast on a weekly basis. When you they don't? Okay. When you're talking about this process, parents often will put themselves into the situation without knowing it, like where they think they will be the most successful. And unfortunately for all the parents out there, where you fit isn't necessarily where your children will fit. And where one older sibling fit is not necessarily the same place as a younger sibling. And it is going to be in the eye of the beholder. I would remind parents that most of your students' success in life is based on self-efficacy, and the ability for a single student to feel like they can be successful in a situation or a program often leads to their ability to do so. And so let's help these students have agency in this process and figure out how they can define where they will create their home, because this is not a university to pass through. This is about choosing an experience to become their home, which becomes a foundation of the adult and the professional that they're going to be. And let's figure out where that's going to be. Some of you, that will be for USC, and we can't wait to have you. A good number of you will not be at USC, and you think that you need to go somewhere else, and we wish you the best of luck. Our job is not to talk you into USC. Our job is to enroll a class of people that want to be here and that are going to make this place better. You're going to bring your experiences that we thought about and read about inside of your application, the potential contributions that we thought you were going to make at this place, you're going to make. The university and the environment and the community here will have an impact and will challenge you in ways that you've never been challenged before. And you will also shape the experiences of others here. This is a symbiotic relationship that we're excited to get into with you. We chose you because we think you would be a great addition to this place. Now we sit back on our hands and stress out for the next 40 days or so and wait for you to make a decision. You are in complete control of this process. We can't wait to see what you end up choosing. We hope it's USC, but if it is somewhere else, you just need to let us know. And the way that you do that with either a yes to USC or a no to USC is go into your portal and submit the reply form. The reply form, whether you're going to USC or not, I want you to do that as soon as you've made the decision so we can have an understanding of that. If you want to wait to the last minute like we did, I get it. Punish us. That's fine. We will wait to that very last minute, but let us know what's going on. If there's anything that any one of us can do, if you have any questions, first off, come to our programs. They will answer 99% of your questions. Second, if there's other things beyond that, give us a call, 213-600-9919. Email us at vadmit, vadmit at usc.edu. Or go to our website and fill out a form. They're on there too. So there's lots of ways to get in touch with us. There's so many other things. Watch all the information. Watch all the content that's coming out. It's designed for you.
Spring admits, Paul?
Is that what you were both about to do?
Yes.
Yes.
Before we started recording, I told them to remind me about spring admits and they forgot. Awesome. Yes. If you've been admitted for spring, the same stuff applies to you. Absolutely. You go to these programs, you decide what's right for you. And for those of you that are confused about this process, we have guaranteed, if you've been admitted to the spring semester and then you didn't apply to the spring semester, we know you didn't apply. There is no application to the spring semester, but we admitted to spring because we didn't have room in fall. But we did not want to put you to a not able to admit you decision. We wanted to make sure that we had admitted you. So we admitted you to the spring semester, spring 24. You're guaranteed admission to that spot. You need to decide whether you want to take up our offer for spring admission. And you're all going to say, but I want fall. I get that. It's not going to happen now. If we get to the end of May and not enough students have said that they're going to join us, then we will look to the people that have told us they're coming for spring, and we will start to selectively move people over where we have the need. And so this is best thought of like a wait list, but we don't put you in limbo. We don't say we might be admitting you. We guarantee you admission to the spring. And if we don't have enrollment for the fall, then we will move people from spring to fall. But we will only move people from spring to fall if they said, yes, they're coming to spring. So you can put in that reply to spring. And the good news about it is that you don't have to put a commitment deposit down. You could just say, I'm coming to spring. Commitment deposits are due till August. So it's possible that you could say, I'm coming to spring, but you really want to go somewhere else. And that's fine. We know that you have to make plans for fall. If you are coming to spring and you are thinking about spring and that's a plan for you, we have sent you information, or we will send you information, and it is on our website, about what courses you should be taking in the fall at another institution to remain on track to graduate with your class. So pay attention to that. It's on our admitted student webpage and the information that we've sent you. Did I forget anything else, guys?
No, I just wanted to, reiterate that for students who are admitted to the spring semester, still come to all the same things. Come to our programs in your city, or if you can come to campus, if you can make the trip, come to one of our Explore USC programs. come to everything while you're making that decision on whether you want to take us up on our offer for spring or not. So definitely go through all the same steps and go to all the same programs and, and then even the same deadline. May 1st is your reply form telling us you plan to come in the spring semester. So everything's the same. It's all through the portal. And so I just wanted to reiterate that.
Thank you. Also, nothing changes your status. It's not like, oh, can I interview and get into fall now? Or can I be reconsidered? Can I appeal? No, you cannot appeal the decision where we actually admitted you. you can't appeal that decision. It is a final decision. And so just keep that in mind. And submitting your reply form early doesn't get you into fall better. It's going to be where we have the actual need. So just think about that. Know that spring is your plan. That's your plan. That's not changing. And we've been admitting since spring for quite some time now. They're very successful and they still do the same things on our college campus. So with that, we need to round this out because we got other things we got to do. Congratulations if you've been admitted. If you have not, we've hopefully outlined a lot of things for you to consider and think about in your next couple steps. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Becky, Stacey, Lisa, Angie, for being here on this podcast. And we will see you all next week with a whole other new episode of Viterbi Voices. Bye.
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 Bye.